LeetCode series. So today we need to do these three questions. Okay, so let's do these questions one by one. So for our first question is combine two tables. Okay, so combine two tables. We are given two tables. First table is person table. Second table is address table. So in person table, which columns are given to us? Person ID. Its type is int. Last name type is varchar. First name type is varchar. Okay, and it is mentioned like person ID is the primary key for this column. For this table, the column person ID is the primary key. So basically what it means is person ID is kind of unique for this table. So no two rows will have same person ID. Okay. If we come to the second table, that is address table. So we are given again address ID, person ID, city, states, and their types are also given to us. So what you need to find is write an SQL query to report the first name, last name, city, state for each person in the person table. Okay, so in person table, what is given to us? Person ID, last name and first name is given to us, and we need to find first name, last name, city, state. So first name and last name we can directly get from the person table, but other things like city and state, that we want to derive it from address table. Okay, and how we can derive it? Here person ID is also given to us. Okay, so what is common between address table and person table? This person ID. Okay, is it clear? So that only we need to, basically we want to combine these two tables to get our entire information that is asked in the question. So what information is asked? First name, last name, city and state. So we will make a note which things are required to us. So these many columns are required to us. Okay, so I have written them, I have written in comments here. Okay, so now if we read the question completely, if the address of the person ID is not present in the address table, report null instead. Okay, so what it means is basically for each row in the person table we want what city and state, and if for that particular ID, if city and state is not present, so we need to return null. Okay, so what it specifies is we should take all the rows, and if the rows means for each row, if it is not, if the ID is not present here, basically if let's say if I want to join these two tables, so basically which operator I will use? I will use join operator. Okay, first thing is this. Now it is also mentioned like for if let's say if this ID is not present here. Okay, so if this ID is not present here, so in normal join, how it will join? It will see the common things and it will join normally. So which things are common in normal join? How it works? We will specify any column. So this person ID is kind of same in both the tables. So we will join on the basis of this person ID in normal join. So basically the IDs that are common in these two columns, for those values only, the values will be given to us. Okay, so let's see let's say if I'm using normal join. Okay, if I'm using normal join, so it will take common values only. Okay, so what it means is this 2 is there, this 2 is there, so only the name, last name, Alice, Bob, and this city, New York City as city, and state as New York will be taken. Okay, because this ID is only kind of common between these two columns. Okay, so now we need to, but in the question what is given to us? It is given to us like even though the city and state is not given to us, then also we need to take the name and first name and last name for that particular person, and we need to keep city and state name as null for that person. Okay, if we see this example only, so this one is not present here basically in the address table. So what it means, for one we are not having city name and state name. Okay, so what we have done is here is we are given first name, last name as specified in the question, and for city and state what we have kept null. So which kind of join we want? We want, if I'm considering it as left table, this person table as left table, this table is right table. So if I do left join, so what left join will do is it will take all the records from the left table, that is this table, and it will take the matching records from the right table. Okay, so what it means is in the left table it will see this this person ID. We will be basically doing join operation, left join operation on the basis of this table, on the basis of this column, person ID column, because it is kind of common in between these two tables. Okay, so common values will be 2 is basically here. So for this particular row, for this particular ID, this last name will be also there, first name will be there, city is also given to us, and state is also given to us because it is kind of matching. Okay, for one, if I'm doing left join, so what left join basically do, as I mentioned, it will take all the records from the left table. So for left table, it will see man is there, Aaron is there, but city and state is not present here because it won't find one here in this column. So basically it will put null null. Okay, so that's what it is doing here. Okay, so that's what in the question is asked to us. Like what it is asked, if the address of the person ID is not present in the address table, report it as null. Okay, I think it's clear now. So let's code it. Okay, so I have tell you the difference between between join versus left join. Okay, so I think it is kind of clear for now. Okay, so now let's see how to do this question. Okay, so whenever we want to we want to find our answer, we will always see which columns are required in our answer. So first name is required, last name is required. So from which table I am getting these values? From first table. So okay, so and what other tables are required? City and state. So from which table we are getting these columns? Second table, that is address table. Okay, so how I will write is select which table? First name. See the spelling should be correct. First name, last name. Okay, city, state. Okay, from person table we need to do left join with address table. On which column we want to do? Person ID. Okay, so person ID of which? Person table, person dot person ID should be equals to address dot person ID. So I think it is clear now. So if I execute this code, let's see if it should pass successfully. So it is passing. Let's submit it. So I think this question is clear. If you are having any kind of doubt, you can please ask in the comment section. So this question is successfully completed. So now let's come to the second question, that is customer who visited but did not make any transactions. Okay, so now let's come to second question. So in this question we are given again two tables. First is visited table and second is transaction table. Okay, so for visited table we are given two column names. First is visited ID, second is customer ID. Okay, and now their types are also given to me, and it is also mentioned like visited ID is the primary key for this table. Okay, so this ID, visited ID, is the primary key for this particular table. Okay, now second table that is given to me is transaction table. Okay, in transaction table which columns are given to me? Transaction ID, visited ID, amount. Okay, the amount of transaction that they have done, and in this table transaction ID is the primary key. Okay, so this table contains information about the transaction made during the visited ID. Okay, so what we need to find? Write an SQL query to find the ID of the user who visited without making any transactions and number of times they made this type of visits. Okay, so our first task is to find the IDs of the users who visited without making any kind of transaction. So what it means? It means if a person is visited and it doesn't make any kind of transaction, so what we can see, which columns are kind of common in this? Visited ID and again visited ID. So what it means is, so this visited table gives us the person has done a visit. Okay, and now if we see this visited ID here, what it means? That this visited ID basically signifies that the person of this visited ID has done transaction. Okay, so if I find any visited ID that is not present here in transaction, okay, if I find any visited ID in our visited table that is not present in the transaction ID, so that is not present in our transaction table. So what it means? It basically means that the person has visited but doesn't make any kind of transaction. Okay, so that's what we want. We need to find the ID of the user who visited but doesn't without making any transaction. Okay, so visited ID should be present here, but it should not be present here. Okay, so we want those visited ID from the visited table that are not present in the visited ID of the transaction table. Okay, this is what we want, and we want how many times they have made this kind of visits. Okay, so what we can do, we can use normally a kind of a count function on customer ID. Okay, so I will show you how to do this question. So let's see the example first. So which columns we are required? We are required first of all customer ID and count of the transaction. So customer ID is required from which table? Visits table. Okay, so we want customer ID from visits table. Okay, second is kind of second column is count number of transaction. So how we will do is, we will use basically the count on our customer ID. Okay, so now let's see the code. So I think the question is clear, and how we will do the approach is also clear kind of. Okay, so now let's see how to code it. So what we want in our output, customer ID and the count of the customer IDs. Okay, so select Okay, select customer underscore ID. Then let's see, we want count. Okay, we will see how to find the count. So what is the condition? Where visited ID not in. Okay, so we need to write from condition. I forgot to write. So select customer ID from visits table. Visits table where visit ID is not in. Select visit underscore ID from transaction table. Okay, so what we will do in this, what means presently what we are doing, what we are seeing, we are checking for the visited IDs that are not present in the visited ID column of the transaction table. So that's what we want. Okay, so now we need to find the count. So count will be basically on the number of rows. So number of rows basically means customer IDs. I can say count customer underscore ID, and I need to keep it as alias as count number of transactions. So as, okay, so I think it's kind of completed. Let me see one more time. So select customer ID. Okay, selected. Count the customer IDs. So that is basically the count from the visited table. Okay, where the visited ID is not in, select visited ID from transactions. Okay, and I think the order is also not mentioned to us. Okay, and we have written here aggregate function. So we need to use group by. Okay, so group by. So if we are using aggregate function on customer ID, okay, so here we need to basically, how we need to group it? We need to group it according to customer IDs. Okay, according to customer IDs only we need to group now, because in this visited table, how many columns are given? Visited ID and customer ID. So we can find, okay, for these customers, they have made these many visits. So that's what it is mentioned here for this. So 2 times 54 will be there. So 2 times we will do group, means basically after group by 54 will be one after the other, and we will use aggregate function to count the customer IDs or the count rows. So we will be doing group by on customer underscore ID. So let's run it. So I think the question is kind of clear. If you are having any kind of doubt, you can please ask in the comment section. So let's see one more time. I think I would have made some spelling mistake here. Spelling is also correct. I think let's see if this might cause some problem. Let's see once. Okay, so this double quotes was kind of creating problem. Okay, so keep it in mind, you should use double quotes here. Okay, so this is kind of successfully submitted. So let's come to our last question for today, that is article view 1. A view table, and we are given column names as article ID, author ID, viewer ID, and view dates, and their types are also given to us. And it is mentioned like there is no primary key for this table, so it may contain duplicate rows. Okay, so each row in this table indicates that some viewer viewed an article written by some author, okay, on some date. So note that E equal author ID and viewer ID indicates the same person. Okay, so basically what we need to find? We need to write an SQL query to find all the author that have viewed at least once their own article. Okay, so we need to find the author that have viewed their own article at least once. Okay, and we need to return the return the result table sorted by IDs in ascending order. So according to their IDs, we need to basically sort them or order them. Okay, so let's see if we see this example. The article ID is given to me, author ID is given, viewer ID is given, and the view dates are also given to me. So let's see our output. What is the output that is given to me? 4 and 7. So the 4 and 7, if we see the what we call author ID for 4 and 7, so for 4 and 7, we can see the 4, the viewer ID is also 4. Okay, so basically what it signifies, on this particular date, this particular article, third article, for which the author is 4, is seen by the viewer that is having ID as 4. So basically this 4 and this 4, what it means, these two, what it means, the author ID of this article 3 is 4 and the viewer for this article 3 is 4. So basically they are same person. Okay, and again if we see for 7, as it is given in the answer, so what it means, for 7 also it will be the same case, 7 and 7 should be repeated. So for this author who has made this article of ID 2 has seen has seen this article on date 2019, 1st of August, with viewer ID as 7. So this viewer ID and author ID is same. Okay, so that's what it is given to me. So what I can conclude from this question. So if the author ID and viewer ID is same, okay, so basically that it signifies our answer. Okay, so that's what we want to find. We want to find that all the authors that have viewed at least once their own article. Okay, so that's what we need to find, and we need to find distinct. Basically means the same person or the same author can see his own article multiple times, but I want it to be, means I want to show it only one time in our answer. So I will use distinct. Okay, so I think the question is clear. So let's write the code. So basically what our first task is what we want in our answer ID. So what is this ID signifies? This signifies the author ID. Okay, that's what we want to ask in the question. Write an SQL query to find all the authors. So this is basically nothing but author ID, which is written as ID here. So we need to give alias here. Okay, so now select distinct as I told you, distinct. Why? Because the same author can see his own article multiple times. So I don't want the 7 to be repeated multiple times here. Okay, if you can see here, this article 4 that has been written by author ID 4. Okay, it is also seen by the same author again on this date also. Okay, so there is kind of duplication. So we want our answer to be, means author ID to be, means distinct. That's why we are writing distinct author underscore ID as ID from views where, what is the condition, where the author ID underscore ID is equals to viewer ID underscore ID. Okay, I should remove this, and then we need to basically order it according to the ascending order of ID. Okay, so it is kind of sorted, so ordered by first column, sorry. So what this one signifies, it signifies sorting, means basically order according to author ID. Okay, so let's run this question. So I think the question is kind of clear. If you are having any kind of doubt, you can ask please in the comment section. So let's submit it. Okay, successfully submitted. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe my channel. Thank you.